Hello again, guys. This is another episode in the ongoing Tiger One from Tamiya. And today we're going to concentrate on the toolbox that is on the left-hand side of the rear hull. And what I got to do first is snip off all the ambiguous detail that is on the Tamiya part. And then I'll have to make replacement clasps for this area. So of course here I'm just sanding everything back so that I have a nice smooth finish. I'm going to have to scribe a line where those bits were, because that's going to be like a solid plastic there. I gotta make a whole bunch of these ones. So 26 and 25. You know, I have one suggestion. Don't do what I'm doing here, cutting every piece off at once, because you know what happens? I end up losing pieces. Every time I do this and I lose a piece, I say, Jamie, just take off pieces as you need them from the tree. That way you won't lose them. But you know what I do the next time? I cut them all off the tree and lose pieces. So, if I were you, just cut them off one at a time as you need them. These particular pieces are the U-shaped holder for the other two parts that gets mounted to the body of the tank. Sorry, a lot of this is off screen, and unfortunately you don't get to see it, but it's my first time trying to get this close. Anyways, what I'm doing is I'm cleaning up 3 of the pieces that make up a clasp, removing the excess attachment point. Okay, so unfortunately here I was not getting the camera angle right. But what I am doing on the side there is I'm taking one of those mini razor saws, and where I removed the details from the Tamiya box that were like the clasps and closures for the box, there was this bit of plastic that needed to be routed out. So that's what I'm basically doing here in this really lousy shot. Now that I've got that done, what I'm doing is I'm taking the clasp that I made before and I'm positioning it using some cyanacrylate glue. So I'm going to make another clasp, and the first job is to trim off the attachment point for the PE where it was on the general fret of everything. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just trimming off that little rectangular piece using a scalpel blade. Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle to try and get everything lined up. Basically, you're trying to fit two things into that handle part. The first one is that piece there you have to stick in, and then you have to also have the handle part threaded with a piece of wire that goes into that U-shaped part. So yeah, this is a bit boring to watch, I know. I guess I'm just leaving it in so anyone trying this can see the method that I'm doing here. I've done it different ways over the years. I used to just take a little bit of CA glue and glue that U-shaped part down, and then I could have a sturdy base. But what I'm using here is a piece of double-sided tape so that I do have the ability to move things around, but I also have a little bit more control because it's stuck a little bit, right? It's not so skatey across the surface. Like it doesn't slip and slide so much. But yeah, it's been a while since I made a clasp like this, so there's a bit of a learning curve again. Just knowing exactly how it all goes together. So now I'm trying to thread a piece of wire through the handle part and through the U-shaped part that sort of holds everything together, and at the same time trying to keep the other piece that I've already inserted in place as well. So it's a bit of a juggling act. So now comes the issue of retaining that wire in place. And so what I'm trying to do here is seeing if I can squeeze that wire and make it flat and wide so that it won't come out. But that didn't work. So now I have to think about, well, how can I do it? How can I keep everything in place with this wire?
Of course, I'll get it wrong. It was on the inside. Whatever.
Because if it comes out, then everything falls apart again, you see? I think I wasn't too sure whether like the handle part was on the outside of the U-shaped thing or the inside of the U-shaped thing. So I may be adjusting that here, trying to figure that out. Again, I'm threading that wire through the two pieces. Okay, now that I've successfully done that, I have to figure out how do I keep that wire from falling out. And working so tiny, it's kind of hard to figure it out in a way. So there you can see it's all together and everything is movable. What I'm trying to do is bend that circular part with the opening over that wire so that it can lie flat. And where that opening is on that oval shaped part at the top, that's what hooks over another bit that would be on the top of the tool kit that hooks into that, and then you're able to apply pressure. So I think what I'm trying here is to use some black CA glue to hold everything in place. Just a quick shot of some reference of where these would go. And unfortunately, the CA dried too quickly for me to get the part on there. So I'm just removing it. Okay, so let's just get that in the right place. Is it in more or where is it? Oh, those tweezers. What's on the tweezers? Let go. Okay. So now I'm trying to figure out exactly where that should go. Put a little drop of cyanacrylate. All right, now I'm going to try and drop that tool clasp into place. It's got to be in the exact right area so that I can put the latch that goes on the top of the tool kit. It'll slide into that oval shaped opening. Yeah, it looks like it's having trouble sticking again. So all right, it looks like it's in a good position and it's staying put. Oh, I gotta clean those tweezers off. It's not letting that release the part very easily, is it? Okay. Let's drop another little. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Okay, so here we are. We're gonna put another little piece of little drop of CA glue, and let's just get that in place. Come on. Get in position there. Oh, darn it. Oh, oh no. I think the CA might be drying out. Or is it staying? Yeah, it's staying. Okay. Oh, no, I didn't. I can see that now. Okay, so let's try again. We got the CA there. Now we got to move this little part over before that all gets hard and not sticky anymore. Oh, how am I going to get there? Oh, just about. Come on, you can do it. You can see that these tool clasps are still movable. Oh, yeah, I was trying to adjust something there and it just broke right off. So again, with the CA glue. The reason I'm including all these attempts to get this right is to show you that it does take a little bit of patience and effort. You know, this isn't just like a wham bam, thank you. It takes a little bit of effort to get these results. Your mileage may vary. Maybe you get it off the first bang. I don't know, but like maybe I should have used two-part epoxy. Two-part epoxy gives you a little bit more working time, but that could be a problem too because it allows things to move around. Well, it looks like I've decided to just start again. I guess I wasn't happy with how everything was lining up. So I've removed the CA glue again, sanded everything fresh. And now I guess I think that might have been the problem, is that the wire was not staying put with the CA glue threaded through there. So I guess I've changed my mind about using CA glue. And I think I'm going to get into doing some solder. But the solder doesn't really work because I think that wire I'm using is like a nickel based or something like that. It just sheds the solder. It doesn't actually, solder doesn't stick to it. So it doesn't really give a good, the staying power of it just isn't there because there's nowhere for the solder to hold on to that silver wire. All right. So yeah, here you can see I'm using some flux, getting a piece of solder. Very small little piece. That's the good thing about these metal parts, is that you can try different things, and if you need to, you can just go right back to the beginning. You can clean off all the glue or the solder or whatever it is, and you can be basically fresh with another piece. All right, I guess I'm struggling here to try and figure out how to attach it to the plastic toolbox. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do it like this. Maybe I should use stretch sprue. I think that might be the better way to go. Even though that's good wire. But it looks like I've decided, yeah, this isn't working for me. So I can just use the
Maybe
lighter.
I don't have that right. Let's take another look.
and that will soften the solder again so I can take everything apart. At least I think that's what was going on there. Yeah, here what I'm doing now is I've got a bit of sprue and I'm stretching it out. It's going to make my little the little piece that goes threaded through all the parts for the clasp. And then the idea is to, on either side of that, once it's trimmed back, I'll use a piece of incense to round off the ends of the plastic to sort of give it like a rivet kind of a look. But I think this was rejected as well further down, because when I would try and flatten it out like you saw me do before, it just wouldn't hold its shape, and it, you know, there's no rigidity for me to get the actual sort of part that grabs the hook on the top of the toolkit. It just wasn't looking good. So I think this idea was abandoned after a little while as well. And then I think I've mentioned it, where I ended up using the steel wire, and then I just trimmed it really close to the U-shaped part. Like once the handle was in place and everything was threaded, I trimmed it back as close as possible. And then what I did is I used a little bit of two-part epoxy on either end to sort of like secure everything. And that seemed to be an okay way to do this.
So this is not really strong, but I think it looks better. And this isn't going to be something that's going to be used, right? It doesn't need to be workable.
So I could edit this down to like a 10-minute video or something, I guess, but I just wanted to show my process. And yeah, it could be a lot better. Hopefully this doesn't scare away people from watching future videos. I do, because I do believe they are getting better.
Son of a bitch.
Okay, there you can see this one is completed. It's got that little piece of foil that I used for the clasp on the top of the toolkit, and it sort of hooks around, and it is slotted into that opening. So why I'm leaving all these long and somewhat boring parts of this video is to show you that doing the photo etch is not easy. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes patience. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm just showing that, you know, there's a lot of maneuvering, trying to get everything in order. You know, you have to clean up everything so that it looks good. Here you can see I'm trying to fold the handle part, I guess, is what you might call it, of the clasp part. So it's kind of got to go sort of like a U shape. And then what that happens then is it goes inside of a bracket that basically has a, you know, like a U shape as well, but it's more angular. It's more like a square with one side off. And in that, it has two little holes. And the handle sits into that part and is hinged on one part where there is a hole. And inside of that, I insert a piece of wire I tried, and then I tried using I tried using stretch sprue. And I think I went back to using wire, but using, instead of soldering the wire in place, I used some two-part epoxy on either end. And I think I ended up using that as the final process. But you can see a lot of this is just trying to get everything into position. I'm trying to get this handle into that other U-shaped part that is mounted to the hull of the tank. And then once that part is in, there's another hole in that handle where I actually have to put this other piece that hooks onto another bit that keeps the lid down. It's sort of got, I don't know, what do you call it? It's got a, you know, a longer part, and then it has on the end of it an oval. And within that oval, there's a little slit. And that slit fits over a part that's on the lid of the toolbox, and it kind of sits inside that slit, and when the clasp is closed, it snugs up against that hook. It's almost like a hook in a way that is on the top of the toolbox. So that's how those clasps operate. So here I'm using some stretch sprue, and then I use a piece of incense to round off that piece of stretch sprue so that it almost looks like a rivet on the end. It's rounded over and it stays in place that way. But I think what I ended up doing is, because of the strength of it, when I folded it down, it wasn't good. But I guess we'll have to see how this goes. I made these videos back in January, so some of it might be a little bit foggy to me. You can see here that that little bit of a hook that I put on the top of the tool kit is missing in this shot. I probably wasn't happy with it and I removed it. Sometimes it might be difficult to follow what I'm doing here, and I apologize for that. This is sort of the first time I've tried to do anything this close up, and it was a challenge trying to get the iPhone to properly focus and so here I am again. I'm just cleaning everything from when I tried to do it before and it wasn't to my satisfaction. I'm just cleaning all the cyanacrylate off using some debonder. And I'm going to try it again. One thing you need to realize, sometimes it's not like this may be a Tamiya Tiger kit. And if I had built it straight out of the kit, it would have been done in one video. But, you know, I'm striving to get another level of detail here. And some of it is, you know, hit and miss because I haven't done this before. Like this exact, you know, set. I haven't made a toolbox for a Tiger 1 in Africa before. And the problem is that, you know, when people see me kind of making mistakes and that, I'm just a little worried that I'm doing myself a disservice and people are going to think I just don't know what the hell I'm doing. I actually got a kind of a rude message on my last video that, you know, why are you using resin parts for the FIFA exhaust? Like the parts in the Tamiya kit are perfectly good. Well, that's completely not true. What Tamiya gives you is a bit of black rubber hose when the shape of those tubes that are used on the FIFA air purifier or air filter system, they have 12 sides. Like it's like a stop sign, only twice as much. So the shape of a tube compared to a 12-sided octagon or whatever you want to call it, it's like it's not the same. And that's why sometimes resin upgrades are used or photo-etch upgrades are used. But I gotta say, photo-etch is also not good in some situations because it's just too flat and two-dimensional. So, you know, you have to sort of like be aware that, you know, I might not be doing a perfect job, but I'm learning as I go. And that's sort of what this is about. So this is even smaller, this clasp. It is another part of the Toolbox retaining system. It isn't part of the box itself. It's part of a strap system that keeps the tool kit secured into place behind the rear of the hull. So these clasps are slightly different and they're a bit smaller. So here I am, I'm just bending that one piece into the part that is used to raise and lower the clasp. It's like a little handle or something. So I have to just make sure everything is even, that the two sort of like prongs that stick up on the end are lined up properly. There's no real fold line on that part, so you just kind of have to wing it. I guess I could make a little jig, like maybe have a little pin or something in a piece of wood, and then I could just wrap that around it, but not that organized on this go around. So yeah, here I'm putting in the part that hooks into the other part so that it stays in place. And next I have to insert that into this other part. So there's 3 parts here, and they all kind of have to stay together long enough for you to thread this piece of wire through there. So I've got to make 2 of these, and then these will get soldered onto the tray. That is what the toolkit sits in. Looks like I'm having some difficulty threading that wire. But, you know, persistence, patience gets it there eventually. So here you can see I'm actually using that 2-part epoxy on the end of that wire, like I talked about before. I think I'm going to have to make another video somewhere down the line that shows this whole process a lot more clearly, because I'm pretty sure you guys are all a little bit confused about what the heck I was doing here. But you know, it's just a stream of consciousness kind of video. What I'm doing here is I'm cutting out the side bulkheads, I guess. Well, just the sides that of the thing that holds the toolbox onto the rear of the Tiger hull. So there's 2 pieces, and then there's a couple of pieces that link those together. Okay, now that those 2 side pieces have been folded up into shape, I've got this one piece here, and it needs to get folded 90 degrees, and it attaches to the 2 side pieces, and it forms the front tray that the toolbox will sit in. So basically what you're doing is you're creating on the sides a 90-degree bend with those sort of triangular shaped pieces, and then this goes in the front, and the toolkit sits inside there. So here I'm just trying to line everything up. Again, maybe if I were to make a jig, it would be easier. That's probably something I'll look at next time. But this is just me trying to get the lay of the land, trying to figure out how everything fits together. But you can notice something there, okay? Like the Aber parts, I would figure are probably the correct measurement compared to the plastic part from Tamiya. I could be wrong. With further investigation, I might be wrong. But I decided that Aber knows their stuff. I find their Photo-etch to be sort of the top of the line when it comes to armor. Like, I will never buy Edward Photo-etch for armor things. They might be okay for airplanes, but for tanks, their Photo-etch just sucks. Anyways, here you can see I've got that second clasp that I made up, and
So make sure the instructions on the Aber is not that great. I thought actually it wasn't going to be like this, but it's good that I have this reference. So after all the work on getting these mounted on this toolbox, it appears that the Tamiya toolbox is not the right size. Not according to this piece of Photo-etch. It needs to be wider. So, another setback. Damn. Now, how am I going to resolve that? Like you can see here, like that's a good 1/4 inch almost. So that sucks. So you can see how much is missing. So I guess I'm gonna have to put in a strip of plastic to bring that up to snuff. So this can go here when I go to solder this. Put that on there, like that.
That sound you hear in the background is my ventilation fan, because I'm going to be doing some soldering and I don't like to breathe in those fumes. Yeah, so my first try at lengthening the toolbox, I kind of got lazy, I guess, or I was worn out or something, but I wasn't thinking straight, and I used maybe like 2 or 3 pieces of thinner strip and glued them together to make up the difference, and it was pretty ugly, but it would have worked. But I think I took a look at it again later, and I did a much better job of lengthening the back end of that.
I learned how to solder in high school. That would have been about 1978. I took an electronics course, and I made a strobe light at that time. Oh well, I got impatient there. All right.
All right, guys, I've come to a point in the progression of the build of this thing where I'm going to have to put in the fenders. That's the thing about building these things, is that, you know, I gingerly move ahead with things when I haven't done something before. And not having built this Tiger with this Photo-etch, I think before I can put this in, I need to do the rear fenders, right? Because then I can put this in. If I were to put it in now, it would make my life more difficult trying to put in the fender with this in the way, as well as the jack. So that'll be our next process. In the meantime, and in between time, that's another edition of Jet Scale Models. Y'all come back now, you hear?